Okay, vector planes. Write the topic, children, vector planes. So what do you mean by vector planes, children? So what is a plane? Okay, so you all know planes. We have, I mean, a plane is like, you can consider it like a rectangle, right? So a rectangular plane. So this is a plane. It's two-dimensional. It spreads two-dimensionally. The plane spreads. Okay, so the plane keeps on spreading two-dimensionally. So then this is one way. You can draw many other planes, right? To other directions, you could draw many other planes, and that spreads in its own direction. Can you all understand? Okay, so
Yes,
you may have planes in different ways. Okay, so the plane might go in, I mean, you can draw it in different ways, just two dimensions. Okay, so it's like a half shape. Okay, which you can, which obviously spreads around. Okay, so now the next part that we are learning is how to get the vector equation, how to get the vector equation of a plane. So this is actually new because it's not there in P4. In P4, you only learn until vector lines. You don't go more than that. But in here, we go beyond, which is we go for the plane. And so there is the equation for the plane, children. So we are learning two equations for the plane. The first one is a scalar form. So the scalar form for the equation of the plane is r dot n equal p, where r represents a general point on the plane. N is, who is n? N is a perpendicular vector to the plane. R dot n equal, actually not p, we should write r dot n equal a dot n. R dot n equal a dot n. And where a represents what? A is a position vector. A is a position vector on the plane. So do you see what I'm talking here? So you have your plane. This is your plane. And this is your position, say A. Okay, with relative to O. So OA vector is A. Okay, and then this n here, the vector n here is actually what? A vector who is perpendicular to your plane. Are you guys okay with this? So I'm just directly giving you the theory. They have given the proof
yes,
here. They have given the proof here. So basically they are taking another vector here called a general point called R. The proof is also very easy to understand, children. So they're taking AR here. So AR is again, this is O to R is the coordinate. Okay, we measure from the origin. OR is the coordinate. So AR is R minus A. That makes sense then? Does it? AR is minus A plus R. So that is R minus A. So AR is a vector which lies in the plane. So what can I say about the AR vector and the N vector? AR is a line. AR is actually a line who is on this plane. So if it is on this plane, the AR vector and N vector, what do you have to say about it? They are what, Pudha? AR and N are?
AR and N are perpendicular.
They are perpendicular. Okay, AR and N are perpendicular. That's why they are AR dot N equals 0. Why? Because dot product
of two vectors are 0.
Not two vectors, not any two vectors. Dot product of two perpendicular vector equals 0. Vectors. That's why they are AR dot N equals 0. Then AR is R minus A. R minus A dot N is 0. And then you open this with N, R dot N minus A dot N. Then the minus A dot N goes to the other side and you end up getting R dot N equal A dot N, which is this equation. So that's how it's proved. That's how it came. Okay. So then the vector equation of the plane is R dot N equal A dot N. And we also have the Cartesian, the vector form of it. The vector form of the equation, Pudha, write it down. R equal A plus, we can say lambda B plus mu C. Write it down like this. The vector form. So vector form of a plane, you actually end up getting what? You have two parameters. Now when it came to the vector equation of a line, we only had one parameter. But when it comes to a plane, you have two parameters. So lambda and B, lambda and mu. Lambda and mu are the two parameters. A is the position vector. What do you think about B and C? What do you think about B and C? B and C should be what vectors? B and C should be what vectors, Pudha?
Direction.
B and C should be
Direction
direction vectors on the plane, because you know it's a plane. I mean, you can take many directions on the plane, right?
Yeah.
Because the plane is a two-dimensional thing, and on top of this two-dimensional thing, you can take many vectors, vector A, like this, anything that goes on top of it. So sorry, I write here C and D, right? C and D, and then the position vector is A. Coordinate. Position vector means it's measured with respect to the origin. Okay, is this okay? So these are all theories. Shall I move to the next one? Okay, y'all are done, right? I can move on.
Yes, teacher.
Okay, so the next one. Okay, so these things are quite okay. They're asking you to what the point A with position vector 2i 3j 5k lies on the plane. The vector 3ij minus k is perpendicular to the plane. Find the equation of the plane. So how do we do it? They have given you a position vector on the plane. Okay, and they have given you a vector who is perpendicular to the plane. All you have to do is apply the equation r dot n equal a dot n, right? Okay, all you have to do is apply that. N is the perpendicular vector and position vector is this guy. R dot n is 3, 1, minus 1. The position vector A is 2, 3, minus 1, 2, 3, minus 5. Dot n is 3, 1, minus 1, right? Can you all understand the application? This is vector A, this is vector n. So you end up getting R is, we can write R as, so R dot 3i minus j minus k plus k. 3i plus j minus k equal, you get here 3 times 2, 6. 3 times 1, 3, 5, minus 5 into minus 1 is plus 5. So this is 6, 7, 8, 9, 14, right? R dot 3i plus j minus k is 14. And then children, you could go one step further and convert this to a Cartesian form. How can you make it into a Cartesian form of the plane? Cartesian form is once again what you expect now. In the earlier one, we were discussing about the Cartesian form of a vector line, right? That was a little bit complicated. How I turned the vector line into a Cartesian line, the 3D line. So here, likewise, we need to convert our vector plane into a Cartesian. I mean, I want the Cartesian equation of my plane. So how do we do that? Actually, here it's quite simple the way we do it. All you do here is, children, the r dot n here. So your r is, we replace the r with xyz. R dot n is 3, 1, minus 1, right? I'm rewriting this. I replaced r. R is a general coordinate with xyz. And the n is 3, 1, minus 1 equals to 14. Are you guys with me? Do you all understand what I just did here? I replaced r with xyz and I get here 3x plus y minus z equal 14. Is that okay, children? Talk to me.
Yes, teacher.
Yes. Okay, so that's the Cartesian equation of the plane. That's all. Okay. So then let's move on. So we'll quickly go to the past papers. And then we have to solve geometrical problems. So geometrical problems in the sense, so these are the last things you need. Okay, so you need to find I think the most challenging thing here, children, okay, is to get the line of intersection of the two planes. I think that's the most important thing. You're solving several things here in the last part of the lesson, and this is the last one. The first thing you are doing is actually you solve the points of intersection between two lines. Of course, this is P4. Solving the coordinates and getting the, you try to find the point of intersection between two vector lines. This is P4, right? So this part, I think you guys are familiar. So this one, I think you are familiar, right? Because all you have to do is you add the equation 3 plus lambda, that is the x coordinate, 1 minus 2 lambda, which is the y coordinate, and 1 minus
lambda,
the z coordinate. You make it, you equate it to the other one, right? The other one, the second line, and then you solve the first two lines. You take the first two lines, you solve and get the lambda and mu value, and you substitute the lambda mu value into the third equation and check whether the third equation is satisfied. And then when you check with the third equation, if it's satisfied, the lines meet. If it is not satisfied, the lines don't meet. Okay. So I think that part.
That is fine. They should be equal to 0, right?
They should be equal to 0 in the sense you take the first two lines here, 3 plus lambda minus.
No, I mean the last two should be equal to 0, right?
They're equal to
Sorry,
each
they
other.
should be each other.
Yeah, they should be equal to each other. You get the lambda and mu from the first two. So lambda is here, what was it? Lambda is 2, mu is minus 1. So you replace lambda with 2, mu with minus 1, and the answers should be equal to each other. So it's equal to each other. Lambda is 2, mu is minus 1. So both sides are minus 1, I think. Yeah. Then the next one, find the coordinate of the point of intersection of line and plane. That's also easy. Line and plane is also really easy, children. How do you find the point of intersection between line and plane? Once again, what we do here is we just do a substitution here. So here R is minus 1, 1, 5 plus lambda times 1, 1, 2, right? So R can be written as minus 1 lambda, 1 plus lambda, 5 plus 2 lambda. Do you agree? The straight line. Do you agree with what I wrote here?
Yes, teacher, we are adding.
Then R dot here, ij 1, 2, k. So this is 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
Equal 4.
Equal
and then
4.
What do
We need to substitute that.
Very good. We substitute this one. So instead of R, minus 1 plus lambda, 1 plus lambda, 5 plus 2 lambda.
2 lambda.
Dot
1, 2, 3.
Equal 4. And then what do you do? Then
we need to find the lambda value.
We need to find the lambda value. 1 plus lambda times 1. 1 plus lambda times 2. 5 plus 2 lambda times 3 equals 4. This is dot product. And you solve this, you get the lambda value. That lambda value you could substitute over here and immediately you get the point of intersection. Okay. That's fine, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So that part they have done the remaining thing here. You can check the example and continue with that. Then I think the most challenging aspect here is with the getting the the point of intersection of two planes. Why? Because when it comes now, a line and a line intersects at one point. A plane and a line also intersects at only one place. Okay, but when you consider two different planes, how does it intersect with that? When you have two planes, does it intersect at a single point? You know, planes don't stop here. The plane is extending, right?
Yeah.
So when the plane is going on forever. I'm just drawing a rectangle here. So when two planes intersect, children, how does it intersect? So when two planes intersect, it intersects by a what? It intersects by a line. It's a line. The point of intersection is actually a line. It's not a point. Sorry, it's not a point of intersection. It's a line of intersection. Okay? It's a line of intersection. So then basically what we do is you take your two planes. So here plane 1, plane 2 is given here. Okay? So I'm going to give you a quick method here. So R dot 2y 2j minus 1 equal to, this is plane 1. And plane 2 is R dot 1 minus 3, 1 equals 5. So you get here R is x, y, z. So what we do here is when you want to find the line of intersection, basically you're going to end up getting a Cartesian line, right? You know, these are lines in 3D. So you have to end up getting a Cartesian line in 3D. Okay. So what you do here is you open this. So this becomes 2x plus 2y minus z, right? Because R is x, y, z equal to, and here you get x minus 3y plus z equals 5. Are you okay with it? Are you okay with it, children? So
yes,
you get these two equations. First, you get the two Cartesian equation of the planes. And then what you do is, you kind of you take these two equations and remove one variable. What do? You take the two Cartesian equations of the plane and you remove one variable. What is easiest to remove here? Out of x, y, z, when you take these two guys, combine these two equations and remove one variable. Which one is the easiest to remove? X or y or z? When we take these two, it's easier to remove the z, right? Because I can just add the two equations and it removes. So let's say this is equation 1, this is equation 2. When I add 1 and 2, what do I get when I add 1 and 2? 2x plus x, 3x. 2y I'm adding with minus 3y, I get minus y. Minus z I add with plus z, that is 0z. You agree? The last one, 2 plus 5 is 7. Can you all understand? So I end up getting 3x minus y equals 7. Is that okay, Putala?
Yes, teacher.
And then children, now there is no correct way in saying that the method they have done in the book is the only correct way. No. Okay, so what we do here is, the next thing that we do here is you can make, now you remove the variable c. So we removed one variable, in this case it is z. It doesn't always have to be z. So if you wanted, you could have removed x. If you wanted, you could have removed y. Just remove any one. Okay, anyone, any one person. It can be x, it can be y, it can be z. In this situation, I removed z. Okay. Then what we do is you get a equation with the remaining two variables. So the remaining two variables in my case is x, y. After you come to this point, what you do is make one of them the subject. Either if you want, make x the subject, or either if you want, make y the subject.
The subject.
Okay, anyone. It doesn't really matter. So which one do you prefer?
We can make y the subject.
Okay, when I make y the subject, I get 3x minus 7. Is that okay?
Yeah.
I get 3x minus 7. And then what I want you to do is put the subjected person. Okay, this subjected person, I want you to put it into one of the two equations. Okay, so you can put it into any one of the two equations. So let's put it, replace the y here. So replace the y here. What do you get? Let's substitute to 1. So I'm going to go in a different way than the book. Substitute to 1. What do you get? 2x plus 2y minus z equal to. Okay, so replace, what do you get here? 2x plus 2 times y is 3x minus 7, right? Minus z equals to 2. I'm correct, right? 3x minus 7, okay? So I end up getting here 2x plus 2 times 3, 6x, 2 times 7, 14, minus z equal to. Is that okay, Buddha? Can you all simplify this?
Yes, teacher.
8x minus z equals minus 14. I take to the other side. 2 plus 14 is 16. Agree? Agree?
Yeah.
Okay, so now what you can do here is, Buddha, now I have actually this the top equation. So the top equation I have x and y. The bottom equation I have x and z, right? The bottom equation I have x and z. So what I do here is, Buddha, from both these equations actually x is common, right? Make x the subject. In both the equations, make x the subject. What do you get when you make x the subject? You get here y plus 7 over 3. Do you agree? Do you agree? I made x a subject here and I get y plus 7 over 3. In this equation also make x a subject. I get z plus 16 over 8. Do you agree? Children?
Yes, teacher.
So I made x a subject in the top equation. I made x a subject in the bottom equation.
Bottom equation. So we can equate them and
you can equate
another
them. So x
simultaneously.
equal y plus 7 over 3 and x is equal to z plus 16 over 8. Look at this format. This looks like a what format?
Cartesian equation.
Cartesian equations. Just x means x minus 0 over 1. So actually there is no correct or right way to do this. Now you can see the answer they have got in the book is a little bit different. Why? Because in their case they got the variable z subjected at the end. So here I got the variable x subjected. In here they got the variable z subject. So all of those answers are correct. You could even have done this and made y the subject in both. If you had done this in a little bit of a different way, I mean even y could have been subjected. So in such a situation, it would be like I mean the answers there are 3 possible answers actually. There are 3 possible answers that you can take. Okay, so actually they have made y the subject, isn't it? In their case, they have made y subject because y is alone here. Okay, so that's it then. So this is the vector equation. There are 3 possible vector equations. Write the equation r minus what is the vector format they have wanted? They want r equal a plus lambda b. So what is a and b for the? You all know at the top you get the a figure, right? At the bottom you get the direction, right? So what is the vector a? Who is the position vector? Look at this and tell me the position vector. Because you know the position vector comes on top, right? X minus a1, y minus b1, I told. So who is the position?
So then it's 0, 7.
Not 7. Because this is y minus the original one.
Sorry, minus 7.
Yeah, y minus 7 and this one?
Minus 16.
Minus 16. Plus lambda times the direction vector is directly what?
138.
138. So this is the vector equation of
Vector
the
equation.
You could have given it in R minus A cross B also, anything. Because you know AB. You know AB, you could have given your answer in this anyway. So whatever the format they ask, you can give it. Okay. So here, children, there is no
Yes, yes.
rule saying that you have to make X a subject, you have to make Y, you have to follow the book. No. Okay, all you have to do is just take your two Cartesian equations, remove any one variable. I removed Z. If you wanted, you could have removed Y. If you wanted, you could have removed X. And then from that equation, now I removed Z here, I got an equation with XY. Then in that XY equation, again, children, this is entirely your choice. You can either make Y the subject or you can make X the subject. Entirely your choice. Do you understand? So here we made Y the subject. Then that Y subjected equation, Buddha, what you do is you go into any one of these two, anyone. Either equation 1 or equation 2 and you substitute the Y figure. So when you substitute, you get another equation now with X and Z. So then what you do is you look at the original XY equation and now you get XZ equation. Both of them has X in common, make X a subject and then equate it. X equals to this, and then you can make it to the Cartesian format. Okay, so and you get the answer. So you can check the way they have done in the example also. The example is slightly different. But end of the day, we have three possible straight lines. I mean, the same straight line can be written with in three possible ways because we are getting, when we make different people subject, we get different question vectors. The question vector is changing depending on whether you make X or Y or Z the subject. Okay, so that's fine. That's perfectly fine. Okay, then children, the last part, the angles. So the angle, the acute angle between two straight lines is given by A dot B over modulus A modulus B. This you have learned in P4. So this is not something new for y'all, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is something you already know, but this is something new in vectors. What is this? So this what is this? So it gives you the angle between a line and a plane, and you will definitely need this in the exam. So R equal A plus lambda B and R dot N equal P. This will definitely be useful in the exam because it gives you the angle between a line and a plane. So here, what does each person represent? Can you all see? B represent B dot N over modulus B modulus N, where B represents the direction vector of the line and N represents the perpendicular vector of the plane. Are you guys okay with it? So this is very important. Okay, so this is really important. And then the next equation is Pudha. So we know the equation between two lines. The next one was the equation between line and plane. The last one is giving you the angle between two planes. Okay, the angle between two planes. So R dot N1 equal P1, R dot N2 equal P2. So the angle between two planes is given by cos theta equal N1 dot N2 over modulus N1 N2. Is that okay? So summary, angle between two lines. Okay, angle between two lines with direction vectors AB. Okay, so that is cos theta equal A dot B over modulus A modulus B, right? A dot B over modulus A modulus B. Next one, angle between line and plane. So this is the summary. So line is R equal A plus lambda B. Plane is R dot N equal P. So what is the angle? Sin theta equal modulus B dot N over modulus B modulus N. I'm correct, right? Modulus B dot N over modulus B modulus N. And the last one, angle between two planes. So if your plane 1 has equation R dot N1 equal P1 and your plane 2 has equation R dot N2 equal P2, the angle can be found by cos of N1 dot N2 over modulus N1 modulus N2 holding modulus. Okay, is this okay, children? So this is actually like the almost like the last part of the lesson. If we just have one more thing. Okay, so moving on to the very last part, the length of the perpendicular from the origin to a plane. So this is important. The length of the perpendicular from the origin to a plane is given by r dot n hat equal d, where n hat is a unit perpendicular vector to the plane. Okay, so what do you mean by n hat here? How do you get the unit perpendicular vector to the plane, children? Can you talk with me?
Yeah.
Yeah, so now normal equation of the plane is r dot n equal p, right? R dot n equal
Dot
p.
product of R and N equal P.
Yeah. So then r is of course unknown, but n is a unit. N is a perpendicular vector. So how do you make this perpendicular vector into n hat? How do you make it a unit vector? How do you make it a unit vector? This vector n, the perpendicular vector is n. How do you make it a unit vector, Pudha? What's the strategy of making any vector into a unit vector?
We should find the modulus.
And divide by the modulus, right?
Modulus.
So you divide by the modulus of n. The thing is, you divide by the modulus of not one side, but both the sides.
But both the sides.
So then this becomes r dot n hat, and this p. Now this p is a constant, right? You know, it's a constant figure here. This p over modulus n is also a constant.
Yeah.
So this p over n only is becoming the d here, where d is the direction. Where d is the distance. D is the distance from
R to N.
Distance from origin. From origin to the plane. Understood? So
it means like ON.
Sorry, Buddha?
Like OR something.
Yeah, I mean, it gives you now, if this is your plane, and your origin is over here, this distance, this perpendicular distance is P over modulus n.
Modulus n.
Okay. And then children, they are giving you some very complicated methods here in the textbook to get the distance. Actually, even this method, I mean, you don't have to go with this. There is actually a very easy shortcut that you can use to get the distance between. Now, this is the distance from the origin to the plane. But in the exam, they also ask you to find the distance from another point, from a certain other point. The distance from some other point, let's say the point is x. They want you to find the perpendicular distance from point x to the plane. Are you with me? They want you to find the distance from the point x to the plane, like the perpendicular distance. So in that case, it's a little bit tough. Okay, it's a little bit tough, but we have a very easy method in our formula booklet. Okay, so let me show it to you. It's not there in the textbook, but it's given to you in the formula book. So we can definitely use that. This is your formula book. Okay, so look at the formula book. Yeah, this one. So for the PO3, can you all see this last piece of information? This is really important. Can you all see this information here? It's not there in your textbook, but it's there in your formula book. Can you all see this, children? The perpendicular distance of alpha, beta, gamma. So this is some point. Okay, so you have your
point on the plane, right?
Not on the plane. That's the thing here. If it's on the plane, there's no distance between the point and the plane. If it's on the plane.
Right.
The point is somewhere else, okay? So alpha, beta, gamma is somewhere else. And then the perpendicular distance. Okay, the perpendicular distance. From the point alpha, beta, gamma to n1x, n2y, n3z plus d. This is actually the Cartesian equation of a plane, right? 3x, 2y, 5z equal to this 2 they have taken here, that's all. So this is the Cartesian equation of a plane, right? And you can see the equation, but it's very easily given. Can you see how they have taken it? So the x component, the x coefficient of the plane, you multiply with the alpha, the x coordinate of your point. The y coefficient of the plane, okay, you multiply with the y coordinate of your point. And then the z coefficient of your plane, n3 is the z coefficient, you multiply with the z coordinate of your point. And then plus this d value, whatever the d value is a constant here, divide by the modulus n1 square, n2 square, n3 square. Can you see that this is really easy? And this is really useful. You will definitely be using this in the exam. Okay.
Yes,
please note it down. It will be used in the exam. You will need it. It's not there in the textbook. It's not there in the textbook. But fortunately, they have given it in the formula book. So that you can use it and you can, otherwise it's very difficult. The method they have given in the book, to get the distance from a certain point to the plane is very difficult. But this will help you to do that like in a matter of seconds. You can finish it. Okay, so that's it then. Okay, so I'm going to
Yes,
close this. Yeah, okay, so that's it then. Then from that point onwards, we just have, okay, one more theory, right? The last theory is the shortest distance between two skew lines. What did I do to that page? That page went. Okay. I don't know why I can't. Okay, so the very last part of the lesson, children, the shortest distance between two skew lines. Can you tell me what are skew lines? What do we consider? How do we consider two lines to be skewed? P4. Skew lines
so when they are not parallel and perpendicular.
They are not parallel and
perpendicular.
No, perpendicular means not parallel is the main.
And they do not.
And they do not meet.
Intersect.
Especially the most important thing is these skew lines. They are not parallel and they don't meet. We really don't look into the perpendicular relationship there. All we look is whether the lines are parallel or whether if they are intersecting or whether they are parallel or whether they are skewed. Those are the three things that we check. Okay.
Yeah.
So anyway, if the two lines are not intersecting, okay. So if the two lines are not intersecting and if they are not parallel, then the option is that those two lines are skew, which means they go in the 3 dimensions without passing through each other. So this is the first plane. And if this is the second plane, I can't draw it. Okay, if this is the second plane, the other line goes underneath like this. Can you see? The first line goes on top, the second line goes underneath. So they don't actually meet. Okay. So the two lines. So these are called skew lines. So what we do here is this equation gives the shortest distance between the two skew lines. The shortest distance between these two skew lines. Okay, I hope my diagram makes sense to you. I hope it looks 3D. Okay, so what we do is you take the two equations, R equal A plus lambda B is the equation of the first line. And the equation of the second line is R equals C plus mu D. And what we do is, you need to remember this equation as you need to remember it. I think it's there in the formula book. I just need to check it once more. Anyway, what do we do here? You take the two position vectors, A and C. You take A minus C dot product with B cross D. B cross D, B and D are the two direction vectors of your line. So cross product of the two direction vectors, and you have to take the subtraction of the two position vectors and then take the dot product of it divided by the modulus of the cross of B cross D. The modulus of B cross D. So basically, it's that those are the theories you need to apply here. So those theories, I mean, they have done one question here. I'm not going to go over there. Okay, so we'll go for the past papers. Okay. So that's it. Those are the vector theories. Okay, so let's go to the past papers.